So why are we here?
We're here to buy some ingredients for the dish. So we need to buy first the shrimp paste and some tamarind.
Shrimp paste and tamarind.
Yes, the shrimp paste came from the Portuguese when they travelled. They went to Malaysia, Malacca, and then they come all the way back to Macau.
The more I've listened, the more I've learned about the food of Macau, the influences. I think about chilies and tomatoes from South America. I think about salt cod from Portugal, or whether it be shrimp paste and tamarind coming from Malaysia. It really does reinforce the fact that Macanese is the oldest fusion cuisine in the world.
Ingredients in hand, we're heading back to David's kitchen for a lesson in combining those seemingly disparate elements into one delicious dish.
And David, what are we going to cook?
Pork with tamarind and bay leaves and shrimp paste.
So where do we start?
We have to do the marinade first.
Into a hot pan goes a slice of tamarind paste and a cube of palm sugar with a little water. Then we slice and dice an onion.
Chinese influences, things like pork, the influences from Portugal, and the travelling. So palm sugar coming from Malaysia, tamarind coming from lower down in Asia, shrimp paste.
Shrimp paste.
Quite incredible. At the same time, Chinese soy sauce and Chinese wine.
There's a well-aged, delicate liquor.
Very good. I like a well-aged, delicate liquor. My palm sugar and tamarind now starting to melt and become a lovely brown syrup.
Once the marinade cools down, we'll add some garlic and onion, lemon wedges and bay leaves.
I look down here and I could be in Spain or Italy.
Into the marinade, we add a glug of Chinese wine.
It smells as strong as moonshine.
And a large measure of light soy sauce.
Then you add the special sauce, shrimp paste. Smell that?
Yeah, I quite like the smell of shrimp.
I know a lot of people don't like it.
Some people probably smells like a sort of a very aged cheese.
Yeah.
They're being kept in your socks.
Now we mix all the ingredients together.
I've never seen a mixture like this ever. It's quite an extraordinary fusion, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. So next the pork.
That goes in.
That goes in, and then marinate for 24 hours. We take off the fat. We will roast that.
Look at that. Crispy bits of pork fat. Yum.
We're going to do some green pepper powder.
How do you make green pepper powder?
Take off the skin of some pepper. We dehydrate it in a dehydrator.
We've all got one of them at home.
We just put the peppers here on the tray. You could use a cayenne pepper, no problem, or paprika, no problem.
How long does that take, David?
That's going to take around 2 hours. And then you grind it down.
It looks like wasabi. It tastes like green peppers.
It does. Next, we go make the crispy rice.
Pre-boiled rice is fried in hot vegetable oil.
Rice Krispies. That's fun, isn't it?
It's fun. What we're going to do now is go put it in a stone mortar and break it down. Next, we go pan fry the pork.
That marinade is really powerful, isn't it?
In goes the marinated pork.
You're properly fried, David.
There you go.
Now we'll add the remaining marinade, bring it to the boil, and then oven roast it at 160 Celsius for 2 hours.
So this is one you've done earlier, David. It's slow braised for 2 hours.
Yeah. Next, we go drain the sauce.
That actually does taste like Worcestershire sauce. If we had been born 100 years ago, David, you and I would be really rich. We'd put that in a bottle and sell it all around the world. Wow.
Next, we go pan fry the rice.
Into a hot pan goes diced pepper, chopped pork, and some more of that pre-boiled rice.
A lot of people in the world would be using a lot more rice than that with the amount of garnish you've got now.
Yes, that's true. That's texture. We get the texture from the pepper, from the rice.
We season with a pinch of salt and a dash of light soy sauce and add spring onions before we switch off the heat.
I've never watched an expert make fried rice before.
And last of all, put this on the dry rye.
Oh, this is the deep fried ground rice.
More texture. Next, we go assemble the dish.
I recognise that. That's pea sprouts. What's these two?
Tamarind shoots and red tamarind.
Okay, great.
So put the rice in there, in the mould.
This doesn't look very classic to me.
This is a classic dish, but done in the modern style. Get the pork.
Beautiful piece of pork.
Take off the string, keep in shape, cut it in half. Nice and tender.
That Oh, wow.
Right. Get some sauce, garnish with micro herbs, with the cold scratchings, and then some green pepper powder.
Oh, the green pepper powder.
Yeah.
The all-important green pepper powder.
So that's it. This is the pork with tamarind, bay leaves, and shrimp paste. Bon appetit.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. That's brilliant.
No problem.
Very exciting. Do you know what they call that where I come from?
No. What do they call that?
Lunch.
Let's go.
That piece of pork is quite European in flavour, but then in comes the other influences. Sourness from the tamarind, saltiness from the soy sauce, and underneath it, the distinctive flavours of fried rice. There's texture and there's flavour in abundance. It is true fusion food.
I'm in the famous casino district of Macau, sampling the delights of high-class cuisine. My guide, David Wong, has brought me to the Lahi restaurant on the 51st floor of the Ritz-Carlton for some high-altitude tasting.
Here we are in the kitchen. This is Chef Fu. Say hi, John.
Hello, very nice to meet you.
Chef Fu is going to cook for you a Michelin star dish, which is the pumpkin fried rice.
I've never had Michelin-starred fried rice. There's going to be something really quite amazing about that.
What's special is the rice that he's going to deep fry first. To get some texture.
Very good. Well, thank you. I'm very excited, I have to tell you. Look at those little prawns, they're beautiful, aren't they?
Do it like that.
They're gorgeous. Look at the colour of that. What else makes this rice so special?
I think it's all about the fresh ingredients. Prawns there, scallops here, which is from Hokkaido, from Japan. And then we have pumpkin here, which is Australian.
Best type of pumpkin in the world from Australia. So it's a very, very technically sophisticated dish using some of the best produce from around the world.
Yeah.
Not your standard fried rice from the local takeaway.
So this is why it's a Michelin star. So next Chef Fu starts cooking.
First, Chef Fu cuts the heads off the prawns, peels them and chops them. Next, the scallops are sliced and the pumpkins are cored. The pumpkin flesh is then diced and the pumpkin bowl is steamed until soft. Now, unbelievably, considering we're in China, this is the first person I've seen in Macau use a wok. In goes some oil and the pre-boiled rice goes in to puff up. The rice comes out and he now deep fries the scallops, prawns and the pumpkin for a matter of only 7 seconds. Next, some egg, pre-boiled rice and a pinch of salt. Followed by the pumpkin, prawns, scallops and the puff rice. Add a dash of soy for flavour. And the entire mix is loaded into those steamed pumpkins, glazed with egg yolk and baked until golden. All that's left to do is to present the Michelin-starred fried rice to a couple of hungry chefs.
Wow.
Looks yummy.
It's not like any fried rice I've had before. It's really sweet from the prawns and also sweet from the pumpkin, but there's this it's a lovely crispy flavour of rice running all the way through. The pumpkin is gorgeous.
And it's got a texture as well. The texture the Chinese always like.
Got this amazing crispy top. Look, it's like the crispy top bit, the crunchy bit. Everybody likes the little crispy bits. Oh, I've just found a scallop. Look at that. But what's also fascinating is every single grain of rice is completely separate. Every little chunk of pumpkin is diced beautifully. Every single sweet prawn is there.
Yeah.
And it's not what you expect at all. You've got soft bits of scallop, crunchy bits of prawn, sweet bits of pumpkin.
Yeah.
And all of it seems to just come together very nicely.
Yeah, it's a simple but it's hard to do properly. It's a beautiful presentation with the pumpkin.
That is how I want my takeaway fried rice from now on. Is this classical Cantonese?
Traditionally, it's done by stir fry in a wok, but this one it uses boiling, stir fry, and then is finely baked in the oven. We've got all these elements in it, so it's completely different from your traditional fried rice. In Hong Kong, Macau, a lot of people judge how good the restaurant is by the fried rice.
I never thought that fried rice would be that important. Imagine the reputation of a restaurant being judged upon your fried rice. But I have to tell you one thing, that is the best special fried rice I've ever eaten. And it comes in its own little takeaway container. And at midnight it turns into a carriage. They get drawn by horses, and out comes Cinderella. She goes to the ball, where she loses her golden slipper, but finds it amongst the fried rice. And they all lived happily ever after.
Fried rice fit for a prince. What a treat for the taste buds. What I've learned here is that there really are no rules in Macanese cuisine. You can use all the flavours and textures you fancy and then fuse them into something deliciously different. And I've planned some fusion of my very own.
I'm going to cook a classic Macanese dish called mint chi. It is the true taste of Macau. You start with these little diced potatoes and you put them into oil. By starting off in slightly cold oil, they will always come out light golden brown. Now for the minced beef. First, marinate the minced beef, take a couple of cloves of garlic, smack them. The garlic will come out later on. Now to that, I add 4 bay leaves, a good spoonful of cayenne pepper, and then dark soy sauce. Here's our Chinese influence, and light soy sauce. Mix all that together. That beef now marinates for half an hour. Now to make the actual mince itself and take out the bits of garlic. Take a large pan and into that some vegetable oil. And to that I'm going to add some chopped onions. I'm going to put some white pepper and a little bit of chopped chilli. I add some beef and in it goes. The colour of the beef, because of the soy sauce, has gone quite dark red. And give it a really good push down. Let it cover the whole pan so it cooks. Give it a flip. And then it's starting to colour. Almost the colour of a burger when it's cooked. This doesn't take very long to cook at all. About 10 minutes. This, however, is a different matter altogether. It's actually quite a useful cooking tip. When they float, they're ready. The beef cooked. The next sort of ingredients are of fusion, a real fusion. A little bit of salt, a good spoonful of brown sugar, soy sauce, 2 different types, dark soy, a little bit sweeter, a little bit thicker, light soy, more salty, and then our old friend Worcestershire sauce. Probably a hangover from Hong Kong and the Brits, and now give that another stir together. If you consider the importance of these bowls of sauces with the Portuguese and of course anybody navigating the waters of the world, these were the flavourings and the preservatives that kept them alive. Dried chilies, dried spices, dried bay leaves, all those things able to be taken on huge long voyages to be able to still have the flavours of home. Beef all lovely and glossy, and the potatoes now golden and all floating on the top. It looks like a mosaic, doesn't it? Like a tile mosaic. Fried potatoes, they've got to be come out of the oil when they're really hot, because the oil then will drain off very quickly. And as soon as you take them out, a sprinkling of salt. I'm going to take advantage of my very, very hot oil. I'm going to do some prawn crackers. So they start their life like this little tiny wafer. And these ones have come from Indonesia, another place the Portuguese ventured. And watch what happens. This is so cool. I love this. It's like one of my favourite party tricks. Into hot oil, and then they come up. And here they come to the top. Look. It's my sandpit. A classic Macanese dish made by an Australian. Lift the prawn crackers out and drain them off. Potatoes all fried, prawn crackers, and my mince flavoured soy and Worcestershire, garlic and bay leaves. Very European, but still with that magic soy Chinese flavour. And now, an egg on top. To make it more breakfast-like, olive oil,
Yes, olive oil, because the flavour of olive oil and eggs, I think, is delicious. Let the oil get hot. Here we go. Egg. And look at it come puffs up around the outside like a balloon. I love the process of cooking. It's just extraordinary. Look at that egg now. Look at that. And so now to put it all together. I mix half the potatoes in with the mince. Stir it together. Take your mince mixture and put it to one end. Now the egg on top, prawn crackers and potato crisps all together. And that goes onto the plate. And there you have it. Minchi, a classic Macanese minced beef, fried egg and chips. Not bad, is it? Macau's wealth is certainly not limited to casinos. It's proven to be rich in flavours and techniques, which might explain why Macau is second only to Paris and Michelin stars per square mile. The people of Macau have been blending cultures and flavours here for over 400 years. It's said to be the birthplace of fusion. All the food I've eaten so far has been absolutely delicious. Who knows where it's going to next?
Your idea is part of what defines you. That desire to name it and make it real. Giving you the tools and insights is what defines GoDaddy, so you can create and manage your website and social media in one place. Start for free at GoDaddy.com.
I'm Keegan-Michael Key. The all-new season of Brain Games is filled with cognitive experiments and mind-bending games. The new season of Brain Games is filled with super exciting games. Yes, but the show is about the human brain and how it perceives. Tell me about this. We have a game with dancing pandas. It's amazing! Yes, it is. It is. But we have celebrity guests who play the games. Go. 1, 2, 3. I was getting that. Fireballs! That's not what we're in. I break stuff with my mind. Doesn't even make sense. Sorry, you're right. I break stuff with my brain. That's not how that...
Brain Games, same day as the U.S. Tuesday, January 21st at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. on National Geographic. And catch up on Fox, January 25th at 9:50 p.m. These homeowners are into property development.
I will leave my day job. I cannot afford to lose money.
But when you attempt to renovate and resell houses, you'll have to put both your cash
My budget's through the roof right now.
It's just money, money, money.
Deposit gone.
and your backs into it.
Anything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong, and it's nightmare.
Brand new series, Climbing the Property Ladder, Thursday nights at 10:25 on Nat Geo People.
Mexican cuisine is more than just tacos, burritos, and beer. Absolute vegetarian perfection. Here comes the hot sauce. I'm going to explore Mexico like you've never seen it before. This is not what we expect of Mexican food. Beautiful. Come with me as I travel from the top to the bottom of this fascinating and diverse country. How good was that?
You think you know Mexican? Deep again.
Stonetown on the island of Zanzibar has a unique mix of Arab, Persian, Indian, and European influences. It has a great vibe with vibrant colors, and the food, amazing, with interesting spices and flavors. It's a very cool town. Stonetown is part of Zanzibar City, the main city on the island. Over the last few years, tourism has exploded in Zanzibar, and it's caused mixed feelings with the locals. I meet Sadeh, a local entrepreneur who's taken an innovative approach to the rise of tourism in Stonetown. Sadeh has done something no one else believed possible. He started building houseboats. It's an exciting and unique way for tourists to experience Zanzibar, and business is booming. Sadeh and I arrive at a nearby fishing village, and this place is very special to him. So growing up, you used to live around here.
Yeah, I go to school, sometimes it's too much, I can understand it, I decide not to go back.
You just come here.
Just coming here with 3-4 friends, we're just coming to swim, looking for fish.
And come here to hang
Yeah,
out with
you
fishing.
know, it's the chicken brain, eh?
You're a chicken.
Chicken brain.
Sadeh could not apply himself to the books. This would be his oasis. This would be his kind of piece of paradise. He would sit here for hours watching these guys make their boats. A few years back, he had this crazy idea to make a boathouse. How long did it take you to build this?
This one, they take like, to building everything, 3 months.
3 months. Brother, this is so cool.
Now,
Wow.
yeah.
I mean, you use no manual, no instruction book. Like, did you Google it?
No, everything what I do, I have inside my head.
What did all the local fishermen think? I mean, the guys that build the traditional boats. I mean, what did they think of, your first houseboat?
My first houseboats, village came like, they say, what this guy doing? Oh, I'm building the houseboat. How are you building the houseboat? How you can make a floating this boat? I said, okay, you will see what I'm making, and then you're gonna see how it's floating. Some people, they came like, they're starting gambling. They say, no, this is floating.
They're taking bets.
They're taking bad, man. They're like, this is floating, but they say, no, it's too heavy. How is it floating like that? Like, okay, you see. I know exactly to be floating, but for them it was a little bit hard. They're like,
To understand.
yeah, this Rasta is smoke too much.
This Rasta smokes too much. So now the village people don't think you smoke too much
No,
ganja.
now actually they're very appreciating now. Like they see like you Rasta very smart.
It's not bad for chicken brain.
No bad for chicken.
Sadeh brings me for a traditional fisherman lunch. Coconut flavored rice, curry with the catch of the day. Today he had beautiful calamari. It's like simple cooking, but really flavorful. So this whole thing of chicken brains, where did this come from? Was this something that was a name that was given to you?
No, the chicken brain it was like chicken, they pass this is a stone, they eat, then they realize, it's a stone. They go around again, they eat again, it's a stone again. This is like, I go to class reading and I don't understand. Then the next day I go back again and they don't understand. So that's how I found myself, I'm a chicken brain.
When you dropped out of school in grade 7, what did your parents think?
The time I was in school, they understand it was my head is very hard one to understand. So, and they know that is I get a lot of beating because it's difficult for me to understand in school. Even themselves, they try to teach me at home.
Right.
But it was not easy. And I said, okay, maybe my head is working on a different way. And then where we end up.
Later that day, I go check out Sadeh's first houseboat, the one he calls Dreamer's Island. amazing. This is your baby.
Yeah, let me show you upstairs. This is a special rooftop for the guests who stay on their rooms. We have the 2 rooms, but very simple. And here actually they have their own private to enjoy, to chill, to see the view of the town there.
Yeah. I mean, this is unbelievable. You know, you've got a great perspective of Stonetown from here. You're kind of like a little hotel here.
Exactly.
You're on the water. I mean, do you have to pay taxes or permits, or are you like off the grid?
You know,
Or is that a question you don't ask?
the government know it, but is always like think like, man, this Rasta people, they're too much smoking, let them do what they want to do.
Oh, really?
That's how it is, you know, but
So that's kind of cool. I mean, the chicken brain is off the grid. No one's giving you attention because they gotta let the chicken brain do
let
it.
chicken brain do it something, and let's see how far it can go. Yeah, but so far, we are very happy. We're growing slowly.
So the fishermen, I mean, you're kind of in their waters. Do they look at you as being a nuisance, you know, the Rasta guy giving them problems, or do they welcome the Rasta guy?
They actually they're very good with us because we are both on the sea, so we have to like each other and we have to be together. You never know who's gonna help when there's some problem on the sea, you know?
When you're gonna need each other.
Exactly.
We're getting pretty hungry, so Sidney and I grabbed some octopus and calamari to cook dinner for his wife and some friends. So when you were a kid, your dad was a fisherman, you went out to sea. Did you used to cook at home, you know, with some of the seafood your dad used to bring in?
You know, the problem with our family is they never let men to cook.
No?
No. It's like my mom always, when I go to the kitchen, she always chasing me out.
Really? It was kind of taboo for a boy to cook?
I don't know, maybe the culture was like this, but I never understand. My wife liked me because I know how to cook.
Yeah, she fell in love with you because it wasn't for your chicken brain.
Yeah, it was a different chicken brain.
I mean, your wife's a doctor, so she went after you being a good cook. This is a dish that's often cooked in Italy. It's with sepia or cuttlefish and potatoes. So I figure why not use the octopus, the calamari, a few Zanzibarian spices, potatoes, a couple tomatoes. Boom, we'll be eating in a half hour, 1 pot. We add some olive oil to the pot along with onions and some garlic. Then we make sure we use those beautiful Zanzibarian spices. So what spices do you want to put in?
You can put
some coriander? Some coriander seeds? Okay. Wait, we gotta do some peperoncino for sure. Some chilies, some cinnamon, the queen of a spice, a little bit of cumin.
A little bit.
Okay, beautiful, and then some cloves. Okay, good. How's it going there, brother?
Oh, it's good here.
Good, Mom?
I like the smell, it's beautiful.
And now, the fish. You can really smell the cinnamon.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Perfect. All that's missing is some water and a hit of fish curry. I love the fact that we've added all these spices. It's going to give a whole different flavor to this Italian classic.
It's going to give him the good vibes.
Good vibes. Yeah. Always. We let it cook for about a half hour while we get our table ready with our friends. When it's done, you turn the heat off, add some fresh coconut milk, chopped basil, and let it rest for 15 minutes with the lid on.
This is fantastic. It's beautiful.
So when are you going to have your next child? I mean boat, metaphorically. You know, when I come back in a few years, are there going to be boat houses along the shore?
Definitely.
But we're always dreaming big.
Yeah.
Let's see what will happen.
Dreaming to have the whole new Stonetown in the city. You know, new village.
Stone water. So was it the cooking or his boat building skills that made you fall in love with this Rasta?
Was first his cooking that like made me interested, but then the boat really convinced me 100%.
And now it's the chicken brain, that beautiful, complex, wonderful chicken brain.
Yeah, got me hooked.
invites Sade and his wife Jenny for a drink at my hotel, the Emerson on Haramzi. A round of cocktails with some local snacks. Sliced sweet coconut dipped in soy sauce. And roasted beet hummus with a hint of cumin to go with some pita bread. Delicious. The Emerson Hotel is known as a local hotspot for culture and music, so it's no surprise that we were treated to a show from some local musicians. After spending the night at the Emerson Hotel, I'm in awe of this building. It was opened by Emerson, an American who fell in love with everything Zanzibar. He wanted to create a cultural oasis for locals and tourists alike. The Emerson support of women and culture in a very traditional society is why Farid and Amina gravitate towards the hotel.
So as a Muslim woman growing up, was music encouraged? Did you experience some challenges?
To be honest, yes, of course. I do face a lot of challenges. I am a woman, you know. To be employed in the hotels, to sing, it's a lot of challenges.
It's frowned upon.
Sometimes to walk on the street, everyone look at us. But I believe there's starting slowly to change.
As artists here, you know, to have a platform where you can showcase your talent, your art in almost a cultural environment like the Emerson is super important.
Means here you can come and listen to the local music, you taste the food. If you don't come here, it's like you miss a big part.
I guess if tourism and the hotel didn't give you this platform, perhaps as a young woman you wouldn't be able to perform.
Yeah, then we are going to the markets to see the car.
Farid and Amina take me out to explore their stone town. As we're walking, Farid says, let's have coffee. This is one of the main piazzas here in Stone Town called Cassava Square. Here you go. What's really interesting is you're like the only woman here sitting down having coffee. She's a real rebel. You're a real rebel.
I know the men will not say, like, don't sit here.
Do they give you looks like, kind of like, what's she doing here? Or are you known as, you know, the badass?
Yeah, I remember they look like
this. Where'd she come from? And so where do you get that courage to say, I'm going to go where the men are, and no one's going to tell me I can't?
The same encouragement that I get from my career.
From your music.
From my music. I stand always here in Zanzibar in front of millions of people and express my feeling out. It's the same courage that today makes me just come and sit and sit down and try.
She's an amazing lady actually, because this is the place where the men meet. Because the culture of Zanzibar, women meet inside. We have 162 channels, they watch it. Men staying here, watching television.
162 channels.
Yeah, they watch football and also they talk. This is where they gossip. Yeah, they gossip.
She's a firecracker.
There's one more place Farid wants to take me, the Kanga market. Kanga are traditional garments worn by the women of Zanzibar and are used by families, neighbors, and even between husband and wives to communicate with each other.
This is the famous Kanga market where all the ladies come and choose.
To communicate, to talk.
Yeah. It's going by colors, it's going by patterns. In the word, you can tell somebody
how you're feeling, what you want to communicate. And the messages can range from apologies to strength, offering courage, or even if there's an argument between families or even neighbors. Now, is this something you would give them or something you would wear?
Wear, you just wear it, and then naturally, if I have a misunderstanding with you, naturally when I wear a kanga, you will spread it. Usisadi sitaki, but I don't need
Trouble. Yeah, it means you can give your mother-in-law.
If your mother-in-law doesn't like you,
Yeah. If you don't like you, there's a problem. Say, this is my rights, but I don't want problems. Yeah.
And there's one kanga that catches Amina's eye. And this? And what does that mean?
you will say during the daytime, but at night you will sleep. So I don't care what you say. I just go on with my thing.
So it's like you can talk about me.
You can
it doesn't
talk about me.
matter. I know who I am.
I know who I am, and I'll move forward.
Move on.
Yeah.
Life goes on.
Yeah.
This is kind of is perfect
For
for you.
my career.
When you go have coffee, or when you're singing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Can I buy for you?
I'll be happy.
Grazie. Asante sana. There you go.
You know, in our culture, when someone brought you a kanga, it means a lot. So thank you very much.
You absolutely deserve it. Our next stop is for a bite at the Emerson Secret Garden restaurant. There, I meet Chef Sadala, and we decide to cook together. You worked in Italy.
Yeah, I've been working in Italy now.
So you're half Tanzanian and half Italian.
Sì, giusto.
Allora, so we're gonna make what risotto alla milanese.
Stiamo andando a fare seafood curry.
Seafood curry. Chef Sadala and I chop up some onions, green peppers, basil, parsley, and then we prepare the seafood. Very nice, chef. And being an island, of course the fish is always going to be fresh. After we put it all into a pot, we add some Zanzibarian spices, cardamom, curry powder, cinnamon, cloves, and garlic. Some chili peppers and olive oil, and we mix it all up. And lastly, taking advantage of the sweet coconuts from the island, a little coconut milk. Our pot goes onto the fire to cook for about 15 minutes. Done. E si mangia. Okay, good. So is it rude if I lick my fingers?
No, it's good. It means you like the art.
Because when I was younger, if I licked my fingers, my dad and mom would, they'd get all crazy on me.
You like the food, you think?
Well, it's just the complex flavors.
That's a little bit sweet.
And every so often you get a little hit of cardamom.
Yeah.
Now, you have a son.
Yeah.
How old's your son?
8.
8? And you said earlier that his dad isn't present in his life anymore? No. Was it an issue that you were a musician, that you had this career, this other life that, isn't traditional?
What I didn't understand is I took a man that he was not in a Muslim tradition like that. He does worse than a Muslim man does.
So it wasn't really a religious thing, it was just kind of his own outlook on...
To raise a child is a project, needed 30 years or 25 years. To do what she's doing is tough. To arise single mother, is a lot. And also to find...
It's huge.
Yeah, it's a quite expensive way of... I think...
So what's that one message, that one life lesson that's most important for you to give your son?
To respect. It doesn't matter a gender or whatever. He has to respect everyone, especially women. That is the most...
So you're giving him an example of that. You're a great role model. After our meal, Fareed wants to take us down to the beach, where he has another lesson in store. Fareed has this wealth of knowledge on the conga. I mean, what the conga represents, how it's worn, what it says, and really how it's used to communicate emotion, status, and really the message you want to give to society.
There's 100 ways to a kanga. Like when your mother put a kanga like this, it means she's very busy. She don't want anybody in
She's
that.
had enough. Like, leave me alone. Get out of the kitchen.
Yeah.
I
She don't
remember
want
I saw my grandmother
wearing the
put it
conga.
like
like this.
very tight and
Right.
everything. And then it was like,
It was like, leave me alone, I'm busy, I don't want to be interrupted. But also when you put little bit down, you will come in the back, it's a party time, you go like dancing and shake.
It's like,
dancing.
come on, honey. The color, the fabric, the pattern, all means something. I'm not sure where he gets all his information, but it's amazing to hear and see. Before the night is over, Amina insists that she takes me to the local market to experience Zanzibar street food. Zanzibar pizza. I thought pizza comes from Napoli. So, chef, what's in the Zanzibar pizza?
Zanzibar pizza inside there are carrots, onion, green pepper, cheese, tomato, mayonnaise, na nambra na simba garagi ya show mani kwa nishati milele na rasala usile mafuta show kwa taste.
I like my pizza with like 3 ingredients. Pomodoro, mozzarella, and basil.
Hakuna matata.
An egg gets mixed in with some ground beef and cream cheese. I love his technique. So do you come for Zanzibar pizza often? I actually thought it was maybe an actual pizza put into an oven. I have to say, it smells pretty good. Okay. Kind of like a frittata with a little thin piece of pizza, but it's like more frittata than pizza.
Mexican cuisine is more than just tacos, burritos, and beer.
Absolute vegetarian perfection. Here comes the hot sauce.
I'm going to explore Mexico like you've never seen it before.
This is not what we expect of Mexican food.
Beautiful. Come with me as I travel from the top to the bottom of this fascinating and diverse country.
How good was that?
You think you know Mexican? Think again.
Get ready to celebrate Australian Open Week. And you can too with the best blockbusters.
I like this one.
Documentaries and tennis. Complete with an Aussie twist. Get real, raw, and outlandish down under with the National Geographic Network.
I'm so excited.
It's legit. Then let the stars of Oz dazzle you on Fox Movies.
Do you want any cake? 3 slices of cake in a bag.
As all roads lead to the first Grand Slam of the year.
His greatness is in his uniqueness.
Celebrate Australian Open Week with Ace Entertainment on the Fox Network.
Your idea is part of what defines you. That desire to name it and make it real. Giving you the tools and insights is what defines GoDaddy, so you can create and manage your website and social media in one place. Start for free at GoDaddy.com.
These homeowners are into property development.
I will leave my day job and also money.
But when you attempt to renovate and resell houses, you'll have to put both your cash
My budget's through the roof right now. It's just money, money, money. Deposit gone.
and your backs into it.
Anything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong, and it's
Brand new series, Climbing the Property Ladder, Thursday nights at 10:25 on Nat Geo People.
Truthfully, I didn't know much about Zanzibar before coming, except I'd always imagined it to be an exotic island with great beaches and interesting food. And being a fan of the band Queen, I knew it to be the birthplace of its lead singer, Freddie Mercury. But now, I get a chance to explore this place. Zanzibar is a semi-autonomous region of Tanzania with a series of islands off the coast of East Africa in the Indian Ocean. I got a tip to stay at the Loop, a cool little place in Jambiani on the beach. There I meet the hotel's owner, Elga, an Italian woman who moved to Zanzibar 8 years ago with her husband after vacation here.
Asante.
Asante. So what's that one thing that you and your husband Sandro fell in love with? I mean, here in Zanzibar.
The people for me, yes, because are really simple when you go in the village, everyone, if you just look at exactly, if they need something, for sure they offer you.
Nice.
Exactly. I think I'm really lucky and I'm happy.
So the philosophy here in Zanzibar is poli poli, really.
Poli poli is the first word I know in Swahili.
Which means
Poli
slow,
poli.
slow.
Slowly, slowly.
Slowly,
Exactly.
slowly.
Yes. And for this, we write there.
Oh, really? So you're gonna take me for
No,
breakfast.
Exactly. I want to show you.
Cornetto, cappuccino.
No, my darling. No, in the village they eat usually fish. And I
For
think
breakfast?
of
Can I
course.
get my cappuccino?
No, you can't. I'm sorry.
Elga brings me into Jambiani, one of the oldest and more traditional villages here, for that special local breakfast.
This is our breakfast. Are you ready?
So the town square and the guy just causes more than. He just starts yelling. Hello, Jumbo.
Dr. Vicky.
So what's a typical breakfast here?
Fish samaki
So fish,
and chapati.
chapati. Simple.
Thank you.
I'll have a double.
Two pieces.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, not one of those. Excellent.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Really?
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. So this takes breakfast to a whole new level. So this is kind of like something my grandfather would say. You know, back in the day, they would only have a little bit of anchovies or sardines, only, whatever they could find, and with bread. And this is, they have here. It's like,
Exactly. It's the same.
buon appetito.
Dai. That's a good,
Nice.
good idea. Huh?
Your experience you and Sandro had here for the first 3 months, how was it?
We rent a house in front of the sea, and from when we arrived, the government cut the light, and we was without light, electricity, nothing.
Oh my God.
And yes, in the morning we put the water in the box, exactly, and we use for the shower, with the glass. With my hair to wash in the evening was.
Did you ever think, oh my God, what did we get ourselves into? Or was it like love at first?
Immediately. I was completely in love with the simple life, because I think also our
Grandparents, how they lived.
exactly, it was the same life, and it's nice.
I mean, it looks like this village has been here forever. And yet, these homes have just been created, you said, in the last few years.
Yes, last 3 years.
When Elga arrived here 8 years ago, this village was filled with just huts. But with more tourism coming to the area, the locals now have been able to build brick and mortar homes to live in. It's remarkable how this village gets by. They pretty much rely on just fish from the sea and coconuts from the trees. There's no part of the coconut that's thrown out. It's amazing that they use it all. From the coconut, there's coconut water, coconut milk, they have the fruit, coconut oil, and then they dry out the coconut shell and they use it to make roofs as well as rope. They throw nothing out.
Nothing else. They have everything with this. It's amazing.
And part of the hotel is also built from the coconut.
Yes, absolutely. All the roof, usually we use this for milk.
That's why it's
Yes,
holy.
holy.
You're waiting for the coconut to dry.
A lot of these fishing villages like Jambiani and Paje along the coast here are experiencing a boom in tourism. With beautiful beaches and clean water, it's also become one of the premier destinations for kite surfing in the world. Alga suggests I visit another little village, Paget, whose main export is now seaweed and employs most of the women in the town. Miriam, a local, is going to show me the ropes.
So it's not seaweed that grows wild. I mean, do you guys actually plant the seaweed?
We plant seed.
I mean, it's really incredible because where we're walking now is really the ocean floor, and now it's low tide. But otherwise, I mean, it would be pretty hot. And what's the window of time before the water comes rushing in, and it would be over their head?
It's 2 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah.
Because they're now harvesting, planting,
And also
maintaining,
yes.
cleaning.
Yeah.
Because I thought, seaweed would just be kind of taken from, the sea or from the ocean floor, but literally this has been planted by you guys.
Essentially, the process takes about 2 months, and when the seaweed is harvested, they'll cut off some seaweed, a little bunch, and they'll tie it on some rope.
So this has now been planted. The seaweed has been planted, and it would triple in size.
It should be triple in size.
The ladies have to make sure that the sticks are firmly fastened into the sand. Otherwise, the seaweed will be washed away during high tide and low tide, which happens twice a day.
If you rely on me, this is all going to be washed away. So it has to be like this.
You see? Just look at her.
So this would be the size of the harvest. Wow. It's pretty heavy.
Some of the ladies called me over because there's this little baby octopus floating around.
I'm going to pick it up. I was worried. No? How come you're scared?
I was going to make you lunch. Spaghetti with octopus.
Okay, I'll let you guys get back to work. So this is pretty heavy.
You see?
It's like about 30 kilos.
After getting to know some of the women in Paget, they take me back to the seaweed center where they finish their work.
Poly, nice and slow. That's my new word, poly. Hey ladies, if I came to work with you, I'd be working poly.
The ladies invited me for a typical lunch. We sat down, and out comes this big, beautiful tray of pilau rice. And I noticed that it's nice and crisped up, and then in the middle is all that beautiful, moist rice.
Now, I've never seen the rice pilau all crispy like this. Very nice.
The rice is infused with cumin, cinnamon, and cloves, and then topped with a tomato onion salsa.
I always feel like I'm playing with my food.
I asked Miriam, why do the locals not really use seaweed in their local recipes or dishes? And she said,